Hello everyone, it is Dr. Lambert here, and today we're going to be speaking about a very important topic, and it is called sleep. I'm sure some of you have probably heard the phrase sleep is for the weak. Now, I used to tell myself that a lot when I was in medical school and undergrad, and I would stay up overnight for so many nights in a row to make the grade. And while I did, what I did learn is that if you don't get sleep, you will get weak. In fact, did you know that as human beings, we spend a third of our lives sleeping? Getting enough sleep at night, in particular 7 to 9 hours if you're an adult, decreases your risk for cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and even obesity. Also, getting enough sleep at night increases your alertness and your agility, especially if you're an athlete or if you're like me and you just like to run every day. And of course, we know that sleep improves restfulness and your concentration. Now, as you can see, today I'm wearing a slightly different outfit. It is my pajamas because we're talking about sleep. So why not get comfortable? Also, before we continue with this video, I really want to make sure I make this disclaimer that all the information provided in my video should only be used for educational purposes. If you have any questions about your specific health needs, please speak with your licensed healthcare professional. Now, there are a few topics that I will be talking about as it pertains to sleep in this video, and number one, we'll be discussing what are the functions in your brain that promote sleep. Number two, what are the benefits of sleep? Number three, what are the things that disrupt your sleep? And number four, what can you do to improve your sleep at night? All right, let's get started. So what exactly is sleep? So sleep is a state of unconsciousness that's actually regulated by your circadian rhythms, which is controlled by a group of cells in your hypothalamus called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, which I refer to as the SCN. So when you get up first thing in the morning, light actually enters your eye and stimulates the optic nerve that comes out through the back of your eye to send signals to the SCN, resulting in the release of three important mediators of wakefulness. Number one, cortisol. Number two, norepinephrine. And number three, serotonin. Now, cortisol is a hormone that actually helps you to wake up in the morning. And norepinephrine and serotonin are also going to work with the cortisol to help you to get your day started, get your heart rate up so that you can actually do your morning activities. Now, as the day progresses, your brain starts to produce another neurotransmitter called adenosine. Adenosine is going to bind to its own receptor, which causes you to become sleepy later in the day, which is the reason why between the hours of 1 and 3 p.m., most people tend to feel a little fatigued and they might grab a cup of coffee or a Red Bull to help them stay awake. The only problem is caffeine is actually a stimulant type of drug, which causes you to become anxious, irritable, restless, and even cause your heart rate to increase. And it also acts as a diuretic, which can cause you to become dehydrated. So as a result of that, I typically don't advocate for the use of caffeinated beverages to stay awake. Another important thing to consider is that as we progress through the day, there is less sunlight available, and your suprachiasmatic nucleus will then stimulate your pineal gland to release a hormone called melatonin. So melatonin is known as a sleepy hormone. Most people think of it that way, which is true. But melatonin has other functions too that are incredibly underrated. For one, melatonin actually acts as an analgesic. An analgesic actually reduces your sensation of pain. In other words, melatonin decreases the transmission of signals of pain from your spinal cord to the rest of your body. Melatonin is also anti-inflammatory. It decreases the production of pro-inflammatory mediators like nitric oxide and cytokines like leukotrienes. And finally, melatonin is also an antioxidant. It protects the cells of your nervous system from excessive damage. So melatonin is more important than simply helping you to sleep at night. It does so many more things, which is why it's so important that as an adult, you get 7 to 9 hours of sleep every night to maintain healthy levels of melatonin. So what are the benefits of sleep? So sleep helps you to boost your immune system, decreases your risk of heart disease, lowers your risk of diabetes, and actually helps you to have less stress and also experience less anxiety. So how does sleep boost your immune system? Well, adults who get 7 to 9 hours of sleep each night actually have increased levels of cytokine activity. For example, People who get adequate sleep at night are able to produce a cytokine called IL-12, which promotes interactions between T helper cells and antigen presenting cells, which are responsible for helping you to fight off viral and bacterial infections. Also, getting enough sleep at night decreases your risk of certain cancers. In fact, individuals who don't get enough sleep at night are 1.6 times more likely to die from cancer than adults that get 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night. Also, too, if you're someone that actually takes the flu vaccine, there have been studies that show that individuals who get a good night's rest after taking the flu vaccine have a more robust immune response and are more protected from the flu. So it's so important that you get good sleep at night. As an adult, you should be getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night. Now, another benefit of sleep is that it actually decreases your risk of heart disease. So what some people don't think about is that when you sleep, your heart actually slows down, which gives it a chance to rest. But adults that don't get 7 to 9 hours of sleep at night have a higher risk of heart disease, regardless of their age, height, weight, physical activity status, and even smoking status. Another thing is that not getting enough sleep at night actually increases your risk for type 2 diabetes. So type 2 diabetes is basically a condition in which the cells of your body are not able to respond effectively to insulin, resulting in higher than normal blood sugar levels, which damage the arteries. So how in the world does sleep even increase your risk of diabetes anyway? So I'm going to explain that. So basically, when you don't get enough sleep at night, your body actually produces less insulin and more cortisol. Now, cortisol is actually a stress hormone, and cortisol actually decreases the ability of your cells to respond to insulin and also increases your blood sugar levels. Another thing to keep in mind is that individuals who don't get enough sleep at night also have dysregulated hormones that control their appetite, which causes them to eat more throughout the day. Not to mention, if you're not sleeping much at night, you tend to find more times to eat, which then will increase your risk for obesity. And if you're not getting enough sleep, you tend to exercise less simply because you're just too tired to do so. So it's really important that we get our sleep. And finally, as I said before, getting adequate sleep at night also reduces your anxiety and your stress. So get sleep. 7 to 9 hours if you're an adult. So I now want to share a few tips with you about how you can get a good night's restful sleep. Number 1, make sure you go to bed at the same time every night and wake up at the same time every morning. Did you know that for every hour that you go to bed before midnight, it is actually equivalent to 2 hours of sleep? Where there are doctors and even scientists that have studied and recognized that if you go to bed between 1.5 and 3 hours before midnight, you can actually get an even better and more restful sleep than if you were to go to bed after midnight. Now, I know some of you may be wondering, well, Dr. Lambert, I'm a very busy person. I go to school, I go to work, I have kids, I have big dreams. So it's kind of hard for me to consider going to bed at 9 p.m. Well, I understand that, but it's still very important that you do your best to get a good night's rest. Now, let's say, for example, you went to bed somewhere around 10 p.m. and got up somewhere around 4 a.m. That will allow your body to get a significant amount of rest so that you're not only awake early to get more work done, but you actually stay refreshed throughout the day. I actually do this myself, in which I actually go to bed sometime between 9:30 and 10:30 at night, and I make sure I get up between 4:30 and 5 a.m. And with practice, you can actually do this without an alarm. So the next tip I want to share with you is make sure that you don't eat any heavy meals within 2 to 3 hours of going to bed. Simply because if you eat a heavy meal before going to bed, your body will then focus more on digesting your food as opposed to sleeping. The third tip I want to share with you is to make sure that you keep your bedroom for 2 activities. Number 1 is sleep, and number 2, if you're married, is sex. Keep your work activities separate from your bedroom because you begin to associate your bedroom with work as opposed to sleep. Also, to turn off your tablets, your cell phones, and your computers within 30 minutes of going to bed. This is important because if you're looking at your screen before going to bed, that actually stimulates your brain activity so that you're not able to fall asleep. So make sure those gadgets are turned off within 30 minutes of going to bed. If you're still having trouble getting a good night's rest, you can also consider using supplements like melatonin or magnesium. As I said before, melatonin helps you to fall asleep. But the issue with melatonin is that if it is used as a supplement for a prolonged period of time, your body then begins to depend on the melatonin and is not able to produce melatonin when you stop taking the supplement. So it's so important that you take melatonin under the guidance of a licensed healthcare professional. Magnesium is also useful as well because it helps you to produce melatonin as well as a neurotransmitter called GABA, which has a calming effect. Another technique that you can perform if you're still having difficulty falling asleep is to perform a body scan. So with a body scan, if you're lying in bed and you find, man, I just can't go to sleep, what you can do is take deep, slow breaths. And while you're doing that, concentrate on one body part at a time from head to toe. Scan your body for feelings of tension, pain, or even stress. While you are deep breathing and focusing on that body part, that will help that body part to relax. And as you go through each body part in your mind, you will eventually relax to the point that you can fall asleep. I'm actually going to leave a link below the title of this video, which will give more information on how you can perform a body scan. Finally, consider drinking teas that have a calming effect that can help you to fall asleep, such as lavender, chamomile, hops, and lemon balm. So I now want to end this video by simply saying that sleep is so important. Not only does it help you to get rest and to stay alert during the day, but it also helps to boost your immunity and it reduces your risk of heart disease, diabetes, and even obesity. I want to end this video with this Bible verse, and it comes from Proverbs chapter 3, verse 24. And it says, "When you lie down, you will not be afraid. When you lie down, your dreams will be sweet." So sweet dreams, everyone. Bye.